Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. And we have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it is going to be Canonana taking on PhantomTest. RNG truly is a fickle being, as we are on the map Torches yet again. I do click on these replays at random, so I'm not trying to get Torches. We will explore the other new maps as soon as I get a replay by random, or I might go out of my way to find one for the next cast on a different one of the new maps. But it is important to note that these odds aren't particularly crazy, as there is just 3 maps on the ladder presently, as they are the ones that are functioning without breaking all the bots, but eventually we will get a more fully fledged map pool. Yes, we do have those dying rocks, which are a very weird thing that has been getting added on by map authors. I almost said bot authors. Map authors, another important author in the StarCraft 2 community. PhantomTest once again showing us its dancing overlords. But these rocks, yeah, they do open up the map after a certain amount of time has passed. I don't know how long, but I mean, you guys are probably pretty good at math. So you look at that and I'm sure you can figure out how long it takes for them to break. But yes, we do have PhantomTest going for a quick third hatchery, whereas Canonana is playing it much more safe, going for the early spawning pool. So this is another start to a game that Canonana... Did I even introduce the bots fully before I got distracted? Canonana and PhantomTest. PhantomTest is being more greedy. Canonana is a bot that's incredibly good on the ladder, and it's just impressive the way that it plays. Playing it safe most of its games, and then just winning out in the later macro stages. Now, we do have, yeah, that third hatch on the way for PhantomTest, though. Ling Speed is on the way as well, whereas we're not seeing that out of Canonana, so playing without any Ling Speed in a normal ZVZ would be considered a little bit risky. So Canonana throws up a Spine Crawler as a defensive alternative. It is mining some gas, but what it's saving that gas for remains to be seen, whether it's going to throw up a Roach Warren and build some roaches or get out a lair. We do have a Roach Warren on the way now. Meanwhile, PhantomTest is just making quite a few Zerglings here, so we could be seeing a bit of an early Ling Flood. Canonana, based off what it's scouted, has said, yeah, I need a spine, a second spine, and then that Roach Warren on the way. So we'll see if it's going to be able to hold on. Ling Speed is still about 20 seconds away, and PhantomTest isn't all in or anything like this. It is producing some drones, just making a healthy amount of Lings at the start of the game. And that could go very well for PhantomTest. As Canonana, it is producing more of its own Lings, probably in response to this threat, but then it is, well, it's investing heavily in these spines, and if PhantomTest does macro behind this, it will be in a good spot. It's also got the fact that it's speed against no speed going for it. The blue Zerg does get up another gas, so maybe eyeing up a lair in the future, or quite a few roaches and ravagers. The Ling Speed really is benefiting PhantomTest, though, but I do have to say, impressive micro from PhantomTest, and just decision making as far as the programming goes, not wanting to engage where it's a little bit dangerous. Although, as I say that, I totally jinx it, as now it's on the outskirts eating Spinecrawler shots for free. Look at all these red Zerglings, though, from the red Zerg, just fully red. Red Zerglings, as they don't want to take this engagement. So this is not perfect micro, and this is something bot authors have to consider when it comes to programming sort of retreat micro, that PhantomTest, it keeps getting new information, I guess, upon seeing these roaches outside the fog of war, or just not sure whether it can take this engagement or not. More Lings are coming forward, so it does decide to move forward and try and kill this. A roach does burrow, though, so they are just going to be fine And so we're going to have to see some detection from PhantomTest in the long run if it wants to break this. As far as the economy goes, things are good for the Red Zerg, as Canonana has no third. It's invested a ton of resources into these 4 spines, so Canonana just relying on spines to defend the few roaches it has out on the map. PhantomTest is adding in its own roaches, but we've yet to see burrow. And the lack of lair is a little concerning if we're not going to see any detection anytime soon. This is a very action-packed ZVZ to start things off, though 50 deadlings to 32. So PhantomTest really getting punished by those burrowed roaches and the fact that it does send its lings into shooting range of those roaches when they should just be retreating. Now, the roaches of PhantomTest are coming to the front. PhantomTest notably does not have burrow, though, so its lings will actually, or its roaches will actually be hot garbage compared to those of Canonana. Still, though, it may be able to shut down this third base. That would be considered a big win for the Red Zerg, and it looks like it will be able to. So that's really nice, as PhantomTest is getting up a 4th base behind this. It's got higher production than its opponent. The lings, once again, are getting too far forward, so it does seem to be the lings that really suffer from this sort of engagement indecision, I'll say. Lings are retreating once again, and then we do have the roaches and ravagers still putting pressure on. Canonana does have this safe space of the spine crawlers, but the positioning is not necessarily ideal here, as I mean, we see that they're not really defending the hatchery, so lots of these drones are burrowed presently. So Canonana may be a bot that needs updating to reflect the new map positioning too. Tunneling Claws is on the way for Canonana. Meanwhile, PhantomTest is totally just skipping Burrow and Tunneling Claws itself. So there is a world in which Canonana gets such insane efficiency that it will eventually be able to overcome PhantomTest's superior economy. I mean, army values are in favor of the Red Zerg for now, but the more roaches Canonana builds, it's not really losing any. That number will continue to grow. Canonana is producing lings, though, slow lings, which aren't necessarily ideal. Creep is spreading forward for PhantomTest. It's doing a pretty good job covering the map while just enjoying its bigger economy. We do have a 5th hatch on the way now. Canonana is fighting to try and secure up this 3rd base. Queens are joining the fight, but we are seeing that Roach Burrow really start to get some efficiency from Canonana. So I'm a little bit disappointed not to see a lair, not to see any detection from PhantomTest, as who knows, it may have been able to win the game by this point. It will be able to kill the queens of Canonana, I think, as they probably do not burrow. But still, the Blue Zerg is kind of trending up as time goes on. We've got a double expo going down, so the economy will be looking better as Canonana. I mean, it is starting to mine out that main, so getting out the 3rd is really quite important. Not that it's losing as many resources as its opponent. Canonana is still losing the lings that it produces, though just fighting with slow lings. PhantomTest, meanwhile, is up to 70 drones now, so having lots and lots of money. The Red Zerg is really bottlenecked by gas right now. It's yet to take another extractor, which I assume is probably why it doesn't have a lair and an overseer at this point. And that could definitely be the problem, as lings are still just moving forward. The Red Zerg is just in attack, ling flood mode. Has it killed a roach of Canonana? No, it hasn't, because there's not many scenarios in which a roach that burrows upon hitting a certain damage threshold will die, as the Red Zerg is just flooding out on the map still, but Canonana's roaches are absolute warriors. The Blue Zerg is producing more lings. If only it knew that PhantomTest wasn't countering roaches and would just build more roaches. These roaches have got to be getting up to a decently high kill count. Still staying alive, but look at this. PhantomTest, with pure numbers, is still pushing forward, hitting Canonana's 3rd base. The 4th base is in trouble as well. There's even a 5th base on the way for Canonana. Canonana does fire up more roaches, though, which, I mean, Canonana will not be dead until it's dead, and at some point, say if it gets up like 20 roaches, and if there's no detection from PhantomTest, they can, in theory, just continuously fight non-stop and hold its opponent back. Now PhantomTest is trying to break the natural of Canonana. Spine crawlers are getting lots of work done. We do see this ling indecision once again which is not ideal. There's even a queen on the front lines, which is just silly, but as PhantomTest pokes forward, it sort of, I guess, is recalculating whether it can really take this fight. Things are still going very well for the Red Zerg, though. Canonana is locked on 2 bases, but it's now got 9 roaches out, so maybe that's all it's going to need at this point, as it will never lose the roaches. PhantomTest seems to fear the spines, and this is a very bot game as a queen of the Red Zerg gets killed on the Blue Zerg side of the map. Canonana is losing these lings as time goes on, and it will, in theory, eventually mine out its natural. Very cool economic balancing from Canonana, though, by the way. It's got a big gas bank, so it's pulled out of mining at least some of its gas. Roaches, though, are still kiting, still getting more efficiency, but Canonana does keep throwing away slow lings, which are just a huge money sink, unfortunately. But whether PhantomTest will be able to overcome the immortal roaches of Canonana remains to be seen. They're going to have +1 carapace in the future, which will help out. PhantomTest is still heavily bottlenecked by gas. No new extractors. It's also only mining with like 2 drones in this gas. I think it's trying to do gas speed mining, which is, I think, is slightly more efficient than just 2 drones mining regularly. But yes, no third base. It also looks like the drones are kind of switching up a little bit, which is not ideal. And pardon me, I didn't mean to say no third base. I meant to say no third drone and no further gases. Overlords are randomly moving for PhantomTest. Canonana holds on with its natural base mining, the third base being long distance mine from, but getting established. PhantomTest seems to have paused some unit production for now, so maybe it's got unit caps in its army. It fires up 22 lings upon losing some, but now it's losing more units, and the Red Zerg is just really bottlenecked right now, not spamming out lings. It could make 80 lings right now if it wanted to, but then severely bottlenecked by its gas mining. And yes, who knows? This could just be a bug in PhantomTest, not Phantom bot. Overall, obviously, this is the test version that the bot author has on the ladder. But yeah, Canonana does eventually get out, secures up a third base, and I think we are going to see PhantomTest fall in the long run, because like you just can't win a game in which you're fighting burrowed roaches when you don't have your own burrow. Lots more lings are being produced from PhantomTest now. I'm curious if it will ever take more extractors upon losing this one in the main when that eventually runs out. But that is going to be some time away. Canonana is now aiming for infestors, getting up a 4th base. Army supplies are much closer presently as the trades are kind of plummeting for PhantomTest. Canonana's +1 carapace that it got is definitely helping out. We're even seeing +2 carapace on the way. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate because we do know that PhantomBot can make detectors. I'm like 99.99% sure that we've seen it play late game ZVZs against Canonana in the past, but just this game is maybe the bot author just testing out like a basic attacking build, that kind of thing. And yeah, well done to Canonana for holding on and being able to eventually push back, I imagine. Like, I do like to call these bot games as I see them. I'm not going to be like, oh, Canonana is totally going to lose or whatever. It's down on supply. It's like, yeah, but there's some very critical things that are happening right now, like these 9 warrior roaches. There's actually 14 of them now, so PhantomTest is definitely going to die here. And that's a bit unfortunate. Might be a game that the bot author looks at and thinks, oh, this one could maybe have some tweaks. But yeah, really well done by Canonana, just playing that solid, stable Zerg as always. Falling behind, definitely a bit of criticism for both bots. Like, if you're going to make 236 lings in a game, get ling speed, I think, for Canonana. But who knows, maybe the bot... Oh, they did actually eventually get speed, pardon me. It was just much later. But, yes... Well done by Canonana, able to take this PhantomTest. Not going to mine out that gas, so we won't see if it would have taken another gas. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you do enjoy these bot games, click that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe. You can say more micro battles if you want to see more of these micro battles. I will load one up after this game. Subscribe to the channel. I think I already said that. Big thanks to everyone that does support these casts via the YouTube membership program. You guys can check that out down below. And yeah, definitely a couple things that each bot author could consider from this game, I think. But getting detection it's pretty cut and dry. As Canonana goes to clean everything out, we will fast forward. Not bad for a bot that was hard stuck on 2 bases for a while. The creeps are touching at this point in the game as blue spreads all over red. I wonder if that was like ever a Starcraft minigame, like trying to out creep spread your opponent, whereas your creep kills your opponent's creep. Kind of like a colony game or something. Alright, 1 Roachwarren, GG. Alright, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be Micro Canonana. Not just Canonana, Micro Canonana taking on Muravev Micro, which is, I guess, it's either Terran or a random version of Muravev Micro Protoss. Obviously, it's not Protoss. That is one of the top microbots that's newer. So we'll see how this one's going to go. As the first round went the way of the Terran, and the slowlings do seem to be getting kited pretty effectively, as the machine like Micro does very well. Although this one's a little closer, but not quite close enough for Canonana. You guys can let me know if you want chat on or not in the comments down below. I think it's better to turn off for these micro battles. Roaches against Marines this time. Beautiful fanning out from the red Terran, but Roaches are mighty beefy against Marines. Still, though, I think the numbers are looking good for the Terran. We'll see, can this Roach pop off those 2 injured ones? Looks like it targets the higher HP one first, but still, though, Roaches are too strong, as Canonana is able to put a point on the board. Now we have a rehash, as always, in these matches. 1 attacker, 1 defender. As the Roaches are being fanned out again once more, Marines do knock that number down to 2 mighty quickly. So I think Muravev will probably take this one. It's funny how you have the same units played twice by the same bots, then you end up with different results sometimes. Now we've got Lings on creep against Marauders, backed up by a couple of Queens, as Muravev starts kiting these Lings immediately, as 2 Marauders to the south are having a bit of a tougher time, but the Marauders really are minimizing the damage done by those Queens by retreating constantly. The Lings do pick off one of the Marauders. The Queens will kill off 1, but now it's 2 Queens against 3 Marauders. Will they at least transfuse each other? That remains to be seen. There is a good amount of energy. Is there going to be transfuse from Canonana? It doesn't look like it, which is honestly a little surprising from a Zerg main bot. To not have the Queens transfusing in the micro battle is a bit unfortunate. Now the Marauders are going to try this again as they do kite back. I think the Queens just really would need to walk on top of the Marauders basically in order to win this battle. Instead they're like shooting, awkwardly having a catch up and then shooting. So yeah, I think Muravev will probably take this one too, as if there wasn't transfused before, there's not going to be transfused now, I don't think. So well done by the Red Terran, really just crushing it here against Micro Canonana. As let's see, this time we've got Reapers against Lings. Will the Lings be able to get a surround? There's no grenades from Muravev, but still beautiful fanning out on the Reapers. That seems to really be the biggest strength of Muravev as far as how it just splits its units off to really minimize the damage. It makes melee units basically useless against ranged units, the fanning out constantly, as it absolutely just splits to perfection. And we'll see that once more here as the Reapers move on in against the Lings. Lings are trying to close the gap, but there's that perfect micro. It's just ridiculous how well it does this. And yeah, really, really well done by the Red Terran. This time we do have a different unit composition. It's Banelings against Marauders and Marines, backed up by some Lings. Of course, the Marauders do try and target the Banelings at first, it seems. However, they are going to get some solid connections, and there's not that many Terran units left. Those that are left, though, are beefy Marauders, but, I mean, that is a lot of Banelings left still. That Marauder's going to eat some of those. Lings will take out a Marauder to the north, and then, let's see, just 2 Marauders left. Let's see, does that one Marauder survive? It does go down, and yeah, the Lings will be able to hunt down that last Marauder a bit closer than you'd think. But really well done by Canonana there. Baneling's going to roll forwards potentially once more, although the Zerg does seem a bit hesitant to engage. The Terran engages, and the Banelings roll forward. Those Marines are going down mighty quick, though, so once again, it is just the Marauders on the back foot. And this time it's looking a little bit better, maybe just getting more firing time. As, yeah, the Terran is going to take this one, I think. It's just so funny how these games go one way or the other. I guess that bit of hesitation at the start might have cost Canonana. Miravev Micro wins it 8-2, though. Well done.